business stuff, not that fun. Probably pretty interesting depending on where you're at in your business. But I just do feel it's important to dive in and show you all the tools that I use and what has worked. And well, I don't really go into what hasn't worked because I don't think that's that fascinating. But everything in my business is run by myself. I don't employ anybody other than the occasional independent contractor to work for me, second shooters, or an accountant who's obviously not an employee of mine, you know, with a bookkeeper that manages all my actual tax obligations and all that stuff. I will say the only thing that I have technically outsourced successfully, because I have tried to outsource everything. I've tried to outsource editing, tried to outsource social media management, emails. The only thing that I've done successfully to where I've consistently been happy and maintained it is my branding. I am horrible at things like graphic design and all of that, just really, really bad. This entire presentation was branded by the guy that did my logo. I, of course, created all the content and all the text and bullet points. He made it look professional. This is what I can do. Yeah, it's really like, I don't need a logo. I'll just do a giant picture of my face, yeah, with my broken glasses, because I'm different.
Oh, you're so young.
I know, so young, so young.
Is this Blogspot?
This was, I don't even remember the name, some Photo Pro blog, 60 bucks. It's just an infinite scrolling blog, simple as that. And eventually the iPad came out and there was a random tree generator app that was like the first viral app. And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna do that until it makes one that I like for a logo. And then I like went to a font sampling website where you can type in a small phrase and then just screen capped the, my name.
Smiley face at the end. Evil smiley face.
Gosh. Anyway, you know, most people in my local market had like a very minimalist sort of black or white and gray sort of branding. So I was just purely trying to emulate them. It wasn't until about year 3 that I finally saved up, you know, I think it was $1,500 to have somebody come in and actually code something, all WordPress based. I've never used anything else, but you know, something more custom. It is still a simple grid, which is very common now, but it was just not based on any template source. So it had a distinct look and element to it that I was honestly really happy with. Even the site I have now, I don't know if I like as much as this one because it was so simple. Problem with this was that there was no consideration for mobile at all. It was just right before that whole huge influx, and you know, everything was pinched to zoom, so that was kind of annoying, and decided to have everything rebranded. This was my original logo. Again, I was like, give me all the barn, outdoor, rustic, vintage weddings. And I used the same logo designer. His name is Brandon Harrison, to create something a little more neutral and interesting that I can modify for many, many uses, which I'm really happy about. And then I hired Second Street Creative to do my current website, as you're probably familiar with it now. They are amazing, very small shop, very long wait list, very long process. It's about a year or more from beginning to end to get everything done. Yeah, but just incredible team. Like, they're the kind of person where you think you have expectations of like, I hope they at least meet this, and they like go way beyond. Like, it's awesome.
I'm actually working with him right now on branding.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah. Ryan Hunley? Yeah, he's a great guy. He's just slow. I think he's...
Man, he does it all himself, though.
I was gonna say, I think he's just a business of one, and so he's got a great family and all that, but yeah, he's a great designer. If you see on my Instagram stories, he just made a whole little collection of like Instagram story templates and frames and stuff that I can use to promote things. And it's I think, really compelling. It feels very professional. He's a great guy. Also, this has every element of it. The mobile experience is considered, and I still see photographers that like send PDF documents of their pricing and all that. Like, do not do that. Make sure you're doing something that is going to look amazing on a mobile interface, because there's a high chance that they're going to be using their phone. Do you just do a PDF document? Many pages.
Oh, who me? Oh, was that obvious?
And I'll show you what mine looks like. But I mean, you can just have a simple website. Oh, look at that. I forgot I added this really fancy transitional slide. I'm going to go through each of these tools from like when the client inquires all the way down to the end. Did anybody here, I'm going to say it again, sorry, on Patreon, get a Bonjoro from me?
Yes. Yes.
Couple of you?
Yep.
Okay.
I went ahead and got that service, and it's pretty pricey because I don't
Yeah.
use it that often.
It
It's
is.
like $24.
A month or something? Yeah, it is pricey.
And you still using it though?
I use it. Yeah, I think I'm even on the upper tier plan for whatever reason. So what is Bonjoro? If you just write it down or go to their website, you can check it out. It's a new company. They're rapidly expanding, and I found out about it through Patreon because a lot of people use it. So here's the idea. It's just an app on your phone, and you can hook it in to Gmail or any of your contact forms, services that you use, whatever, and it will automatically populate the Bonjoro app with that person's information from their contact form or whatever. So anytime I get a new inquiry, it gets added to my to-do list of Bonjoros, and I can just tap it, new wedding inquiry, tap that, hit record. It'll even have like text and stuff. They filled out some, stuff in their contact form, some more details about their wedding, so you can refer back to it. And it's a video recording service. So you basically just record a video message. Hey, Anna, I'm so glad you reached out to me, blah, blah, blah. Keep it less than 30 seconds. Emphasize that you are available for their date, say their name back at them. You are creating a video voicemail, essentially, for first contact with the client. They know what you're making is completely custom. And then the actual email that gets delivered has your video, your branding, and then a big giant link underneath that says, click here to go. You can customize. Mine says pricing guide, click here. And then that takes them to my pricing guide. And it's very compelling because they feel, I think if nothing else, obligated to want to reply because they know you took the time to do this thing. And they get a sense for your personality and your temperament right off the bat. Yeah.
So Sam, you go directly from that video, you send them directly to your pricing.
Yep.
So it's no phone conversation or talking about pricing.
Nope. Okay, so here's the thing. So Bonjoro gets sent, and then I follow up, and I'll say it in the Bonjoro. You'll get a more normal email from me within a day or so. So I've got two things surface level in their inbox, the Bonjoro for them to watch, and then later on the actual pricing email. That's the same link to the same guide, but it does frame things. I'll show you what I say, but that's where I recommend let's meet over Skype or FaceTime for a more detailed discussion. I do offer to meet people in person, but I literally don't even remember the last time I had coffee with somebody before they booked me. It's just something that most people don't seem to care about anymore, and it's fine with me. I will meet people sometimes afterward if they don't do an engagement session. They'll do just a coffee just to get to know each other. I'm happy to do that, but that's the order of how they're interacting with everything. My actual pricing portal is part of my, is it portals? Yeah, obviously this is the back end, but it's just a full-on web page. Totally mobile responsive. Oh, that's right, I don't have to drag it over. Look, I was gonna buy an Abracadabra t-shirt.
Elon Musk news.
Yeah, Elon Musk. Guitar dashboard. It's my whole life right here in the tabs. This has, and again, this is something I'll link to later so you can break all this out and read it in more detail. You don't have to do it right now on my projector, but setting expectations about my approach. Do I need a shot list? No, just the shot list for family so that I'm not getting a check mark thing from the not.com. Deliverables, high-res JPEGs. Look at some full sample galleries that I have linked right here out of the gate. I don't wait for them to ask for that. I try and make sure they have a chance to review a full gallery. All these simple kind of FAQs. And then 3 packages and a Giphy booth. So to break it down, this is always kind of evolving and fluctuating based on how well I'm booking, the time of year that it is, all that kind of stuff. But the most often package that's booked is the middle package, 8 hours of wedding coverage engagement session. All high-res files, downloadable zip file. No USB keys ever. I don't offer those even in the more expensive one. No album, although I do offer it. And no second shooter. These are the second most booked package is package 1, the cheaper one, just 8 hours wedding coverage. No second shooter in either of these. They can add it on if they want, but I actually emphasize and tell people I'm totally happy to shoot by myself. I'm more comfortable that way. And it gives me a little bit of opportunity to, if I want to bring somebody, an assistant or something like that, I will, and I'll pay them a little bit, but there's no expectation that they're going to get any photos. However, the client feels like if I bring an assistant and they don't pay me anything else, they're almost certainly going to get extra pictures from that person because they are going to be a photographer. And the client just feels very well taken care of. Like, oh, you brought this whole extra person. This is great. You know, I've had clients regularly send thank you notes to me and then also my assistant with a tip for both of us. It's like crazy. So a lot of headroom to kind of over deliver, right? With 8 hours, I used to do unlimited coverage. And how often do you think the client cared that I was there for 15 hours when I was already booked for an unlimited package? Never. It's just like, that's what he's supposed to do. But as soon as I started, and I was really nervous about this because I thought like maybe people were booking me because of my unlimited package and like not having to worry about hours and all of that. But because I started offering 8 hours, that is for sure for most American weddings, totally enough coverage for me to start about the last hour of getting ready photos through, 2 to 10, usually the last dance or at least a fair amount of open dancing. And again, there's headroom there for me to feel totally fine staying an extra half hour or an hour to over deliver, You know what? I'm supposed to leave at 10, but you're doing Sparkle exit at 10:45. I'm totally staying for that. And no, I'm not going to invoice you later. Like people are freak out about that. It's such a great way to have a good last impression, especially since it's the last time they're probably going to see you in person. Yeah, any questions about these? I don't know that I'm doing anything that unusual with my pricing. Yeah.
Just a quick question about the middle package with your high resolution digital files. Is that just wedding only, or do you include engagement
Yep.
files of that too?
Yep. I don't hold any files back because I don't emphasize or worry about print sales later. If you do get excited about and really want to make sure clients have prints, you probably don't want to give the zip file. You probably just want single downloadables or something. My girlfriend Nessa, what she does is no zip file at all. She just mails a USB key. And the USB key is great and helpful, but oh, she does one other thing. I really probably shouldn't talk about what she does, but I don't know. She does other things to like subtly emphasize and make it less accessible to like get all the files wherever you want, however you want. I give unlimited downloads. Their guests and family can also download the zip file, and that's really going to hurt print sales. But I'll show you what I use as a gallery host that ultimately does help with print sales, even though I'm very giving. I am very giving of all the files themselves. But everything is edited. I don't give any unedited work. It's all no watermarks. Yeah. So
you could give us this link to check
Yep.
this stuff out. Cool.
Yep. Yeah, if you want to like actually dive into the words that I use and all that. So this is something I used to sell as a $500 add-on, but I've actually been so convinced of its marketing power that I just include it as a free option. It's not more or less expensive to have it or not. It's called the Giphy Booth. There are tons of other clones, and it may even be a clone of something else I'm not aware of, but it's a standalone battery, battery powered, where is it? Yeah, Ben from Chicago made it. Yep, whoops. It's a standalone battery powered iPad with a ring light. Runs an app that interestingly says touch me on it, and you go up and you touch it and you have no idea what it's going to do, and it makes a boomerang, an animated GIF that just repeats itself over and over. Which the first time people use it, they have no idea what's happening and they're a little apprehensive. But eventually a crowd forms, people start getting creative, and each GIF that's made, people are prompted with, hey, do you want to text this to yourself? It gets their phone number, and boom, it shows up on their phone. Here's your image from Sam Hurd Photography, or whatever you want to customize it to say. On the back end, every event that I create, it keeps a running list of every single phone number that's captured. If they request to download the GIF, it captures their email. And if I blog that wedding, I will do one batch message to all phone numbers and email addresses captured from that event and say, hey, Zoe and Ryan's wedding is on my blog. Check it out. I know you were there or whatever.
That's super good marketing.
Yep. It's like I'm sliding my business card right onto their phone a couple of times. And you can do up to 3 batch text messages. I would recommend probably not being that guy. Keep it to 1, really simple, like, and it's a blog post. You know they're gonna go look at their friends' wedding pictures on my blog. And it is legitimately fun. I don't have to hire anybody to man it because it's battery powered, it's pretty rock solid as far as the app and everything. The motion and the animation of the GIF, people have enough fun with. I don't bring props and have to deal with replacing those and collecting them at the end of the night. Yeah, it just comes in, a bag this big, that thin. That's it. Again, I think it was totally worth $500 when I charged for it, but I want it at more weddings. I think people just don't understand how fun it is actually going to be, and I want it there. So free optional add-on. I know I'm going to get bookings somewhere down the river later from making this direct connection to all these guests.
How much is that thing?
I want to say it's like $3,000, which doesn't even include the iPad. So it's crazy. I think you can buy it in halves or something. You don't have to pay all up front. They've changed the pricing because I was one of the first people to get it. It's a little different than when I bought it. I think it used to be more expensive. But it will pay for itself, yeah, given the marketing thing. And the other great thing is the very next day, I send the gallery and a full zip file of just the gifts to the couple. So that kind of holds them over a little bit for your full gallery of wedding photos, I think. They're a little less eager to see everything. And that's it. I mean, it's really great. I love it. Trying to get I did specify drivable weddings only because checking that bag is really annoying at the airport. It's fine. I try and avoid ever having to check bags.
Do you find that people that book your lower packages will do that, or is that too much to add on for them?
When I was charging for it?
Oh, you don't charge for the
Yeah.
anymore?
Nope, not anymore. It's a free add-on, whether they want it or not. The price doesn't change for the package, so it's just completely free.
And is that just something that you then have built into the package without them
Yep.
knowing that they're paying for it? Like, not
No.
tricking them, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like, removing the option.
Yep, I literally used to make $500 and now I don't. So technically I'm probably losing upfront money, but no, I didn't modify my package pricing. It just used to be, here's Giphy booth, $500 to have it. I believe in the marketing potential and the marketing effectiveness of it enough that it's worth it for me to just bring it for free if and when people want it. And it's hard to draw that line because nobody's going to inquire 2 years later and be like, I found you through Giphy booth, but there are going to be connections made with clients there when you're literally like slipping your business card onto their phone. Like, it is a thing. So pretty great. Not much else to say. I offer a second shooter. I do have an unlimited option, mostly for Indian weddings or just really, really, really long weddings, $1,500, and I am there for however long people need. For really long days. This is a fantastic negotiating tool, and it's really the rare win-win-win or whatever from The Office. What's the episode of The Office where Michael's trying to do mediation? And it's a good one. I'm so bad at jokes. Give them a $200 discount if they make any best effort, whatever works for them. An announcement from the officiant, signs, a heads up beforehand to their guests to not have any cameras or cell phones out during just the ceremony. I don't care about reception or getting ready, just the ceremony, to avoid people looking at everything through this. Now, I make it very clear, it's not like I've ever lost or had a photo ruined because I couldn't work around things. It's really about crafting like the experience of your ceremony and not having you walk down the aisle and see your mom looking at you like this instead of like actually seeing your mom's eyes or face or whoever. Half of your guests, especially if they're on the edge of the aisle, are going to be like this the whole time. That's just the reality of, I think, especially us as wedding photographers, have a pretty interesting perspective on how phones have infiltrated our lives. I mean, because you're observing, how often now are you seeing people just experiencing the whole day through their phone? Selfies, group shots, everything else. It's like, guys, you're missing the point here. This emphasizes the real life connection, the real life importance of what they're doing. Makes my life marginally easier to not have to shoot around and move around kids with iPads and stuff like that. And offering a discount right off the bat proactively takes that question, takes that awkward conversation off the table. I don't think I've ever had anybody ask, like, do you have any more discounts like that? Like, this is enough of a give that most people, if they're close on budget, it'll win them over, which is sort of why it's 4,200 instead of 4,000. That's sort of 4,000 is sort of the minimum I want to be at. And yeah, just really consider something. And so many photographers I come across, you know, I didn't come up with the unplugged thing as a concept, but I think I started discounting for it first. And a lot of photographers just suggest it and people are like all about it. So even if you just mention it as a thing, if you're uncomfortable giving a discount, just bring it up. But I find discounting is a really good sort of just negotiating tool. Do you have a question about that?
Not really. It's not really a question. Regarding your prices, I mean, you have been doing this for quite some time,
Mhm.
and I was expecting your pricing to be a little higher.
Mhm.
Is there a reason that you keep it the level that you were keeping it at? It's because you don't want those high.
I want high volume. The more you raise your prices, the less you're going to shoot. I don't care. I make more than enough money than I need now. So I want to still be able to get weddings. Shot a Persian wedding 2 weeks ago. Everything's in their, literally the living room of their house. Ceremony in one house, living room, reception in the other house, living room. Trucked in a dance floor. Like, I want weddings where once you reach a certain echelon of budget, it tends to be just a different experience. You're always working with planners. You're always doing certain things. I mean, not always, but it is just a very different baseline of client. And I'm perfectly happy with where I am now. And yeah, just never felt any need to, and these will still go down occasionally or up depending on if I'm booking as much as I want or not. My goal is usually, I need 25 weddings to live on, and I want to average closer to 40 just to feel like I'm not dying of boredom. Because this is all I do, right? So if I'm not shooting 40 weddings a year, that's still a lot of time off. I mean, obviously there's a lot of editing and things, but yeah, anyway. Yeah, what's up?
In this stage, do you also talk about, I guess, turnaround, like when you will be delivering said wedding?
Yep, I think it's probably up here in the FAQ. I mention it as about a month after, sometimes a little longer. Somewhere in here there should be something that mentions it, or maybe in the FAQ of my actual front end of my website. But yeah, during client meeting, it comes up.
And do you do that just because of your workload, or do you do it because of like beliefs, you know, like a turnaround time? Because moving here, I've met a lot of people that they try to turn a wedding around in like 4 days.
Oh.
And I get for some of them that they're trying to get it off their plate, and they're like, it makes people happy, like they want their stuff right away. And then it like hurts my soul.
I wouldn't at all be surprised that people think you're working a lot harder if you take 2 months.
Well, yeah, and like for me, I feel like personally, there's like this value to like kind of forgetting your day and like forgetting some of those moments and the build up and the excitement
Yeah.
that comes with like at least 4 weeks, like or
Yep.
6 to 8 or whatever. So I just didn't know if that was part of.
Yep.
the mentality.
And I mean, just to be frank, I do not under promise, over deliver with that. Usually it's like a month, and then it's actually like I say, like, it'll be 30 days, and it's more like 6 weeks. Or it's like, yeah, hey, any ETA on our photos? It's like, yes, it'll be soon, I promise. I fall behind all the time, especially this busy season. But many people, when I talk about delivery time, say, well, I don't really care about that. Like, however long it takes to make the photos look great. Like, they're going to have those photos the rest of their life. But I am pretty good about slow dripping some great epic shots on Instagram, social media, so people have something to satiate their eagerness. So, yeah.
Kind of a two-point question, but regarding destination work, I'm assuming nothing really changes much as far as your pricing, and you just add on
Destination
expenses,
pricing.
or-
Yep, I add on, do I have it here? Cost for travel. Round trip flight for anything that's over 3 hours away, although that's not entirely accurate. Occasionally I'll drive further. Destination weddings will be customized depending on the specific location. 2 nights hotel, round trip flight out of BWI. And I am very fortunate to live in an area where within about an hour and 15-minute drive, I have 3 different airports I can get to. BWI is fantastic because the Southwest operates out of there and it's a huge hub and I can get like direct flights anywhere. I do have people commit to whatever the average going rate is now. And I build the pricing into the package. If the cost goes up, I eat that cost. If it goes down, I keep the difference. And that's just for simplicity. I don't want to be, nudging dollars and cents a month before the wedding. And a lot of people are uncomfortable. I book flights a month, maybe a couple weeks in advance. A lot of people that like freaks them out if they don't travel a lot. But I just find that the best prices tend to be like a month and a half before. And so I just take on all of that responsibility. Book your own flights always. Never let them book for you. But I will be flexible about where I stay. If they have a family location, a family friend, or like a spare room that is reasonably comfortable to stay in, I'll do that just to cut costs if they're like really working on a budget.
And are you actively like going out of your way to do more destination work?
Not at all. In fact, that's why I asked you earlier how many destinations you have done yourself, because I hate traveling. But I just went way too into it. I was traveling twice a week to anywhere, and it will burn you out like faster than you realize, and it sneaks up on you. It's crazy. My approach, though, to finding and getting great destination wedding clients that have good budgets is to appeal to people that really care about photography or are photographers themselves. And so most of my bookings for destinations come from people that found me through equipment reviews, that have gone to literally my workshops, like photographers working for photographers. They have the budget, they know they want me specifically, and they're happy to accommodate. Those are by far, and I believe, the only real sustainable way to getting destination wedding clients on a regular basis. I have no clue, if they're being completely truthful, then it really shocks me that some people are exclusive destination wedding photographers. I don't know how you make a living from that. The average person is not going to spend an extra $2,000 on top of a normal package to bring you out to Greece. I mean, they might, but like you're not going to find 40 of those in a year. Again, maybe there's some mystical way to do that. I'm unfamiliar, and frankly, I don't care, because I just take destination weddings as they come. If I have a nice gap in my schedule, I'll still book them, but I don't really try to anymore. But appealing to the people that are most likely to appreciate and have the budget for it, those are photographers. And so you want to have some antenna up for how to connect with those people. That's probably my easiest answer about destination weddings. The other thing I get questions a lot about are work permits. I mean, it is illegal to shoot in other countries, and you're really screwing over photographers in that local market if you're heavily discounting shooting for free, shooting at cost, which a lot of people do early on, and you should really think about how that would impact you in your home city. If I work in Baltimore, but maybe Baltimore is this really great place, which it is. And everyone from Atlanta is willing to shoot there for free or for travel costs. Like, I'm out of business, which is totally what's happening to a lot of photographers in Iceland, New Zealand, coasts in Australia. It's crazy. So at least do the due diligence of trying to get a permit if it's reasonable, the application process and all that, but it does throw a wrench in things. I think I've gotten maybe a dozen permits over the years, usually an extra $500, and they've never said no. But a lot of countries are receptive to the fact that you are doing something unique if they want to fly you in, and that's fine. But anyway.
That permit fee you're billing the client.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yep. And I think most of my clients that have gotten permits and really cared about that had a planner actually manage everything for me, or a travel agency that like took care of it. I didn't have to do much legwork. A lot of like the Caribbean countries and stuff like that actually have really easy, reasonable avenues to getting permits because they know a lot of people don't, and they need the money or want it. Bahamas in particular is like super easy. And they're also real dicks about it. If they think you're a professional, they are gonna make you bribe and pay, at least from what I've heard. I haven't had that experience myself, but like, yeah, they're gonna be able to identify you if you have a lot of light stands like these guys. Do you guys do a lot of destination videos? I never understood the videographers. It must be so obvious that you're a professional.
If we do, we travel really late.
Yeah.
And kind of keep lights out so we don't
Oh, is that in Newfoundland, Canada?
It is.
Wow,
How'd
you
you-
got a permit for Canada? It's really hard to shoot there.
No, I did not get a permit for Canada. I taught a workshop there. So I was in Canada to teach a workshop and did a wedding on the tail end of it. Yeah, it's impossible to get a permit in Canada. But he's a wedding photographer, and I just did. So anytime I'm in Canada, I do a workshop or conference because you can go there without a permit for that. But I think this is the only Canadian wedding I've ever photographed.
I was gonna ask you to shot in Canada.
How'd you know that was Newfoundland?
I'm Canadian.
Oh, you recognize the trees?
No, it also said Newfoundland.
Oh, it did at some point?
Go on like the page
Okay.
on before.
Gotcha, where I was before.
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, there's
It's like, holy crap, you know your
no,
trees.
no,
You really know your trees.
That would have been awesome.
they are beautiful trees, but it definitely said Newfoundland on there.
So pick time is a huge new aspect to my business as far as the way I've structured a lot of my pricing and the deliverables for my clients. I used to use ShootProof. Before that, I used SmugMug. Pick time, I actually think ShootProof has a better GUI like interface for clients, all the gallery stuff. The loading time's faster. Excuse me. The mobile experience is a little bit sharper and better. Not like literally sharper, but just like excellent. Pick time is good enough, but it does one thing that just completely changed the game for me. So if you go into any gallery that you have, obviously this is all the back end stuff that I get to see. This is a wedding I delivered fairly recently. Where do I go here? So it's hidden from the internet. I just do email capture, and then people can make their own password. I deliver all galleries chronological. I do not separate by portraits, details, family photos. I don't have time for that, and I just hate that tediousness of it. So just part 1 all the way through, usually part 6 is the most, roughly 200 image segments. The reason is a lot of services, Pixieset, ShootProof, like if you just put it all in one gallery, it's just infinite scrolling until the end of time, and nobody's gonna go to the end more than like twice because it's just a pain. So just partition that up a bit with simple parts. Whoops. So this one has part 1 through 5, so they can quickly jump to roughly the end or roughly the middle and be fine. But this is what the client experience looks like. They have all these parts. They can obviously favorite and flag and sort and hide things unique to them. And they can do one other thing that I particularly love.
Is this what you said, like, was specific to pick time?
Yes. The store aspect of it, where they order prints, calendars, posters, and albums, all come pre-programmed with whatever images they favorited the most or have literally looked at the longest. It just, you know, intuitively, smartly populates the actual product promotional materials with their actual pictures, which is like, duh, why hasn't every service always been doing that? That's like exactly what you want to see to encourage sales. So any framing, any of the stuff, the actual photos they favorited are preloaded there. Here's where it saved me the most time in the album designer. So not only does it create a pre-programmed, it'll say here, hey, we've created an album for you. Great, let's view that. It'll give you all the options that you have enabled for print sales and all of that. Linen, printed, leather, cover, 8 by 10, 10 by 10, 12 by 12. And then it just literally dumps all their favorite or most looked at photos into a pre-design. And then I let clients actually completely design their own album. And I charge, so I like halved the cost of my albums. They're like $500 now instead of $1,200. And I have a $500 design fee if they want me to do it. So albums are way, way cheaper if they think and they want and believe that they're actually going to do this themselves. And then if they find they're not, yeah, I'm happy to design it for you. And then we can go through the back and forth after that. Most people are happy to just design it themselves, order the book, and be done. And I literally don't have to do anything except like approve the order when I see it come through.
So 500 if they do it themselves?
Yep. For the like 10 by 10 printed, like the cheapest of cheap, but it's still a great book. And they have partnerships with all kinds of labs. They're only like a 2-year-old company, PickTime. So they're still kind of getting into the labs I really like. I think right now I mostly use Bay Photo. I would prefer, they have some products with Richard's Photo Lab. That's my absolute favorite. So I'm just waiting for them to expand that more and more. And they're supposed to be launching with QT Albums soon, which is a European company. very high quality for very low cost because they're in Poland. Yeah.
What are the statistics on people getting albums? Like when you're selling this? Like,
Well, it's been, I think I've sold about 5. Literally, I've only started using the service this year, so it's hard for me to point to any consistent expectation. But without trying, 5. And I booked a lot of future weddings for next year with the album added on $500 because that's like really affordable. And I think what's going to happen is a lot of people think they're going to design it themselves and then will never get around to it and just pay me, and so I'll make an extra $500. Or a lot of people will just never get around. You'd be surprised how many people just never get around to making an album, and then you have free money as a photographer. Like 6 years later, I still have some people that never made a book.
I try to email them often.
I never follow up. I figured if they want it, they'll get on that. But anyway, yeah.
Are their products the same as any site where you build in your pricing?
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. On the configuration page here, there's a store, and you can mark up however much you want, percentage-based, fixed price-based. Get rid of something you don't want to offer because you think it's ugly, whatever. Yeah, you can customize all of that. So,
That's really smart. Instead of just doing points, that they have like actual products.
yep. And I don't want to spend too much time on this because there is quite a learning curve, and I'm not here to like teach you how to use PickTime. This is just what I use and why. They also have fantastic little automated email campaigns. It's under their marketing section. They have pre-made stuff, which is really nice. So you can just be like, you know what? I do want to offer 20% off albums or whatever. And then this is like the email template that's pre-designed. You can change the text if you want, but you say, yeah, okay, I want to send this, send to new recipients, and then you sort through, you can say all visitors, visitors who have never purchased something, visitors that have stuff in their cart, like really create a focused target for who you want to offer certain sales to. I usually do offer a sale, around the holidays, end of the year, stuff like that. It gets pretty cool. I don't know if it's worth right now. Again, you're going to have a link to my pricing guide later, so you can go through a full gallery in your own time if you want. But you can kind of like quickly scroll through a full wedding if you're actually maybe faster. Is this too fast? Is that too fast? Yeah. Just to give you some insight and feel about like a full little session. This is their family farm because they're super rich apparently, as I learned when I got there. It's like, wait, what? You live here? Forgive the projector. Everything looks a good bit overexposed.
Is that the 58?
Everything here is 5824 leaf prism. If I convert something to black and white, it's because it has horrible mixed light. This was like, see the light in here? It's like this ugly green tint, and then she had blue, so like everything behind her was like ugly yellow. Of course.
So oftentimes I will give somebody a black and white, and they're like, "Oh, can I have this in color?" But I need a black and white for a reason.
That's what I tell them.
Okay, so you tell them that it was mixed light and that you were not a fan.
Yep, especially if it's like a collection, like, hey, we have a dozen we want to convert, I'll say, okay, totally fine. Let me send you one and just show you how bad it's going to look. Like, it's black and white for a reason. And usually I never hear back. So, yeah. I also try not to, about 15% of my overall full gallery is going to be black and white. So I don't lean too heavily into it. And if I have two of like reasonably the same moment in perspective, I'll do one black and white. But look at that mixed light. Ugh, it's really gross. This should be black and white, honestly. So, anyway, okay, so some moments. He was randomly started playing the harmonica. Don't know why. That's awesome. I know. It's like, okay. Yeah. That's why they know what's going on there. You guys have no clue that he's playing the harmonica. I know. I thought I got one where I encouraged him to actually, just tons of in-between moments. I don't direct people through any of this stuff. Just straight up, I photograph all details that are obvious or requested.
And you're shooting only one body most of the time?
Yeah, until it's ceremony. Yes. This would all be one body. With 2 lenses, 24, 58, almost all 1.4, all day. That's a little soft. Oh well.
Do they ever complain about like the soft focus?
Shockingly, no. And I think that just comes from the fact that most people do not print this big.
Yeah.
They don't even print the size of your screen or the laptop screen. They look at it precisely this big.
Yeah.
Now, even photographers that I've worked with, they've never complained, and I assume that they would be the ones to like pixel peep and zoom in. But no, I literally haven't had it. I also probably over deliver a touch. Kids are the best. I have to like stop taking pictures of kids because I start to feel a little weird after a while. But they're so dynamic and like interesting.
So natural.
It's like all I really want to focus on. But I over deliver to give like a couple of different options of every important moment. So, you know, if one is a little soft, there's probably another. I don't know what her deal is. That probably shouldn't have been delivered, but it's okay. Okay, so they signed the Katuba. We're into this is Baltimore, Peabody Library. It's an amazing place. So pre-wedding stuff.
So even for like bigger venues, when they're getting married, you're still using a 58, you're not using any Zoom?
I do bring one zoom lens, either an 85 or a 135. I have more versatility with an 85. One of the big reasons I stick with Nikon as a camera body is that it has in-camera crop masking. So you can literally, in your viewfinder, say, oh, I want this to be 1.2x crop, 1.5x, DX crop. And so an 85 will instantly turn into a 135 for me that I can compose and create the photo. The raw file, it is a smaller resolution, but it gives me the raw file end result cropped. And that's just hugely beneficial. I in-camera crop all the time. So I will bring a longer lens for ceremony only, never portraits or anything else really. And then the other thing is I will crop 1 by 1 or any other weird crop, and that's how they get it. If they want to recrop later for a print, that's totally fine, but I'll do 16 by 9, 1 by 1, or the native crop are my most common crops. So, okay, people saying hi, people coming in. Great. Very, very emotional. Ta-da. So this would be 2-camera body now. So I have an 85 and a 24. Yep, I just dual wield, 2-handed shooting.
Little kid is obsessive with it.
Yeah. Oh, one of the things, if your cameras, like mine often are, get like a few seconds out of sync, one of the things I like about it, it's obvious when you go chronological like this, but the presentation here, they're all sort of spattered about, so it's not totally obvious if like this kid, his head was like in front. That was technically after she walked in, but it showed the beginning of her walking in here. Like you don't pick up on that as much when you're just scrolling through like this, which is kind of nice. I time sync my cameras like every few months.
Are you split toning a lot of your images?
Everything.
Everything?
Yep. We'll talk about editing later, but yes. Split toning everything. All right. Family photos. Any questions that are getting kind of ignited or insights that you
Since you typically shoot weddings solo,
Mhm.
do you find that that limits, like, for a ceremony, your positioning? Like, are you like, I always gonna stand at the front of the aisle, or
It's a great question.
sometimes go, oh,
Let me get on a quick tangent about my mental space on the wedding day. The only time I am like full on, boom, we are going creative and I'm really stressing my brain is when I have the bride and groom in front of me and I can direct them. Everything else, yep, I'm right at the end of the aisle. I am not trying to reinvent the wheel with any of my wedding coverage. I'm just trying to take good, clean, interesting wedding photos and like people composed relatively good and that's it. So I do not care about getting a crazy mind-blowing perspective for the ceremony or the cake cutting or any of that stuff. Like I'm just trying to get people looking good and flattering in an image they're gonna like. And framing people, you know, roughly through the third of the frame, preferably not mid-blink, but whatever. There we go, we got another one. Yeah, just stuff like this. I literally like don't even try. I'm just trying to get stuff in focus, exposed well, composed, generally clean. And then save everything else, save all that creative energy to where it's like, they're looking at me, what do we do next? And then, yeah, it's really helpful to silo Because I used to be like, every shot's got to be creative. I'm prisming all first dances and the shoes, the dress, everything. And by the time I was like couples portraits, 4 hours into it, I'm like burnt out from trying to be creative all the time. So, and people are totally happy with these kinds of photos. I don't see any necessary, if there's a particularly long toast or first dance or whatever, yeah, I'll start to like get a little more creative and experimental, but very long answer to your question. Yeah.
Is that all just the available light in the venue?
Yep, all of this so far. I don't start bouncing until dance for this particular wedding. That answer is going to, here's all bounce. That answer is going to be highly variable based on so many different circumstances. But yeah, this is all now bounce slash off the.
How are you bouncing with the room that big?
We'll talk about bounce.
Do you ever use Magma?
No, I don't. Nope. I ain't got time for that stuff. But I know people love it.
Yeah.
So here we go. So I actually delivered this image. So here I got a little board and I'm constantly grabbing little, I call them assets of double exposure potential things. This was a beautiful staircase in the room right next to the main room that I just showed you. And boom, okay, maybe I could use that for a double exposure. They had string lights and stuff. I'm taking just, whenever I'm bored or I've got the critical stuff, a couple of out of focus bokeh patterns and shapes that could potentially be used for a double exposure later, which this ended up being used for. And I just happened to deliver it because it's also cool by itself. But here it is. This was, I don't know what this was. I want to say it was some sort of glass window double exposure. Yeah, and they're just sitting in this square. It happened to work well to layer as a multiple exposure. So, and right back at it, shooting. Anywho, okay, I don't want to waste too much time. Sparkle RX8, I almost always shoot just, you can do 6400 ISO, 1/200th of a second at 1.4, you'll be fine. Cool, cool. Any questions about pick time, the client deliverables? There's a few other things I want to talk about real quick before we can finally eat.
How much was it again?
Pick time? I honestly don't know. I pay for the 60 a month unlimited, whatever. It's, I think, partition based on how much percentage you want to give them of your store sales and how much space you need. But yeah, it's competitive because I don't remember it being crazy expensive. Okay, I use ShootQ for all of my business management stuff. This is what is managing my inquiries, my contracts, invoicing, all of that. This service easily saves me an entire employee of work every month. Does anybody use something different they want to just like mention? Tave maybe, 17 Hats, Google Docs, Sprout Studio, cool. ShootQ was kind of the first one. So it still looks like it did 10 years ago. Functionally, it's fine, but it's just really hard to ever switch from whatever you use. But heavily research something, and I highly recommend, like this is just what runs like the business side of what I do. Every green thing you see here is a lead or an inquiry for that date. Every blue thing is an actual booking. And every time somebody inquires, this is hooked into my contact form, which is branded on my website. This automatically makes a little client portal on the back end where I can manage all their contact information, their initial request and inquiry. And then once I've met with them, I tell them, hey, you're going to get a booking email from my booking site. This is where I insert the packages that we've discussed, any travel fees, all of that. This system sends them an email and then holds their hand through signing the contract, paying the invoice, and that's it. This automatically lets me know if somebody hasn't paid an invoice on time. It will automatically remind them. And then it does one other thing that also automatically is the most important, and that is the questionnaire, which I don't have for this wedding. Let's go to a different one. Oh, this was not a booking, it's a lead. So here, 30 days before, and you can customize all of this. It's just my preference that 30 days before the wedding date, it automatically sends this link and says, hey guys, please fill this out whenever you can. And this is that worksheet I mentioned earlier where they fill in the final start and end times. This is all I need to shoot a wedding. shot list recommendations. And you can customize this to be whatever you want. So,
Do we have access to that somewhere?
yep, I have a PDF of all the questions that I ask, so you can emulate, copy, whatever to your heart's content. I think I even used a template based on something they sent me, and I've just modified it over the years. But this is absolutely critical. I don't have to deal with Google Maps. The calendar that you saw earlier, that actually is shared as a Google Calendar as well. So you can use any calendar app that you're used to. You don't have to log in here every time you want to check your calendar. And if you have associate shooters and all that, you can assign and create like sub employees for access. So they can maybe get all the details but not see the pricing or whatever management you want. So, yeah.
Okay, for the questionnaires, do you have multiple ones that you send out, like if it's like a same-sex wedding?
I do, yeah. I'm trying to create one that's just completely neutral, like person A, person B. It's really tricky.
It is really tricky.
Yeah.
I was actually wondering, because you called it the bride and groom, I was like, oh, he has what I have, and I'm trying to figure out, so I just,
I would create 2 additional ones. It's like bride A, bride B, groom A, groom B,
okay.
something like that.
Cool, cool. Yes, just wondering how you were doing that as well.
Yeah, it's kind of,
Tricky to make
yeah,
sure
it has happened where it's like a same-sex wedding and it's like, here's your bride and groom questionnaire. It's like, ah,
Yeah.
Oops. They still like me.
Mockery of my questions in the questions.
Yeah, usually I think,
like made fun of me.
unfortunately, I think people are used to certain things like that occurring and like whatever. Most people are kind of cool about it, but I would recommend creating two questionnaires. And yeah, all that stuff is managed on the business tab of this thing. But honestly, this is like the best thing you can do to run your business. Anything that will give you like good, solid analytical tools about booking trends. It runs off Flash, so Apple likes to disable that. See if I can turn it back on here. But how do you turn Flash on? There, I think. So if this will ever load, yeah, you'll see like breakdowns of charts of how things have come and gone in terms of busier parts of the year, and you can make informed decisions about where it would be best to fluctuate your pricing, or where you do need to worry that you don't have as many bookings as you had the year before at this time, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, what is going on here? I really should just use Chrome for this, but I'll try and get it working later. Anyway, don't use ShootQ. Use something similar that has the same functionality, and make sure you get on that. And do it during the off season, because getting something like that off the ground when you're really busy is horrible. And if you ever plan on shooting more than like 20 weddings a year, you're going to want to have a system like that in place before you're busy shooting 20 weddings plus a year.
What would you recommend next after ShootQ?
Tave or 17 Hats. I've only had like a demo experience with all the other ones. I haven't seriously looked at.
Complicated. 17 Hats for me is very user friendly. But this, what you have here, I think is pretty awesome.
Yeah. Cool, thank you. I have one other thing, if I can get it to load, and it's a client portal that I hand make myself through my website. And it's just one link that they have links to their contract info, links to their, well here, I'll show you. Links to their full galleries. Whenever a new booking comes through, I just clone this master client landing page that I made, add their names and their specific wedding date info. And then again, this is like one place to always find their invoices and have their access code, kind of nudge them and remind them about certain things like an album, an engagement session, just if they hadn't considered it. Setting expectations for everything. And then these 3 things are really great. They're made through Spark, which is a service, free service that Adobe operates. And they're just really nicely, kind of like magazines, but in website form, templates. So this is something I'll send to somebody if they have an engagement session. I used to do a PDF, and it was really nicely designed, and it just answered FAQs about their engagement session. How long it's going to last, some location ideas, what to bring, all of that is outlined here in a nice, responsive page. So I'll have links to this later too, and you can look through what I tell people, but definitely offloads 3, 4 emails back and forth. Like, can we bring our dog? Can we bring 7 changes of clothes? Like, all that stuff is addressed Same with this. This is actually something I ripped off from Nessa. She wrote a beautiful article about planning for light on your wedding day. And anyway, that's all built from Adobe Spark. That's what's powering the sleekness of it. So, better solution than the PDF. And then yeah, this is where their ultimate full gallery links will sit. So, any questions there? That's beginning and end. Oh, I will say this is a wedding I haven't shot yet. One other really key thing that I do, only for wedding clients. Thank you video, custom for them, professionally made with my actual camera. One stream of 60 seconds, no fancy editing, just saying thank you, pointing out the fact that I'm not going to see them again, and I just wanted to say thanks. I really appreciate it, and maybe a few notes about where to look for things, but that's huge, and I just embed that right on this landing page. So.
After the wedding?
Yep, when I deliver the gallery.
Okay.
But I'm thinking about just using Bonjoro to deliver galleries too. It's just a little bit too not professional enough for the gallery delivery. Anyway, that's what I do. Take what you want from those concepts and go from there. Cool. Any other business questions? I do a $1,000 non-refundable deposit to hold the date. The rest isn't due until 30 days before. The reminder for that payment comes with the questionnaire. Yeah.